not just the ability to write a letter, but the ability to send a message that cannot be ignored, that forces people in other levels of the organization to listen until it's heard. And what they do about it, that's another question, and we can get into exactly how that might be integrated. But the key to sociocracy is that you have this this top-down system that functions effectively.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you have a bottom-up system that also functions effectively.
Yeah.
So you have the board selecting an executive, and you have the executive group selecting managers, etc., down the hierarchy. At the same time, you have the shop floor electing representatives who go up, and that elected representative is a different person from the manager who comes down.
Yeah.
Which means that when they sit in on the meetings as an equal with the people at that next level up, they cannot be ignored.
You see, that's a key point I just want to make clear, that in some meetings everyone has an equal voice or say or time or attention. In other meetings it's more like what we normally think of as a hierarchy with a boss and maybe a deputy and subordinates.
That's an excellent point. And so sociocracy has nothing against hierarchy. For that matter, we also have nothing against ad hoc decision making.
Yeah.
If your team works best by everybody just running around and doing what comes next, that's fine. But from time to time, you get together as a team, or as we call it in sociocracy, as a circle.
Yeah.
And we look at how are we doing on meeting our aim. So we measure.
Yeah.
We make the rules as an experiment for how we're going to go about meeting our aim in the future. And those rules can be, we're going to go on functioning as a hierarchy. Our team will be run by our local manager. They can be, we're going to vote on certain things. They can be, the computer system will tell us what to do. It can be, we're just going to do what comes naturally or what we've always done.
So they decide how to decide.
Exactly.
How to address problems.
Exactly.
And how to use the hierarchy and how to use the circle.
That's correct.
I do find the sort of word circle extremely useful in sort of giving a context for a meeting. This is a circle meeting where everyone is equal.
That's correct.
And this is an operational meeting where we're actually fulfilling what the circle has agreed.
Yes.
So it's delegated to us.
You were talking about these two ways of organizing, and even though I am saying, well, there's more than two ways,
which I like. Yes.
There is still this phase change that happens.
It's a phase change, exactly.
So it's like the difference between a liquid and a gas, or a liquid and a solid.
Yeah.
The circle meeting is one phase of the organization, and that has a very particular way of functioning. In fact, if you're going to call it anything, I might call it like a superconductor, kind of a super cooled state in which information is transferred very quickly, and you can make decisions very quickly as a group together. But then you change phase. You leave that policy meeting or that circle meeting, and you go into your operational state. Now you're playing by different rules. You're playing by whatever rules you've set up during the circle meeting. And each time you change phase from the policy circle meeting to however it is you're running your operations, you're doing an experiment. And you'll check on the results of that experiment next time you go back into the circle.
It's a phase change, because some people like to see it as two ways of organising according to the phase.
Yes.
And in fact, in the early 80s, there was this phrase parallel organising, where they had equivalent to a circle. But the thing about sociocracy, I think, is that it's so much more tried out and wired in, and there's so much more structure and for people to design together or adapt.
Yes.
And systems like pay systems, the whole lot. There's a lot goes with it.
There's a very, very precise set of best practices, which are maintained at the global level by a large network of consultants. And every few years, a new set of practices are suggested, and the global network of consultants uses their own circle process to consent.
Update them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So these best practices you could see as a sort of a global set.
Ongoing learning network, really.
Yes, so here we go.
We're going to
We
be
have
interrupted
another
again.
intervention.